Hey guys, it's Lindsay from thetostedpinenut.com. Today we are making a quick how-to, a tutorial if you will, how to make your own homemade oat milk. By now you've probably seen oat milk in stores, it's probably been at your local coffee shop, maybe you've tried it, maybe you haven't. Either way, I'm gonna show you how simple it is to make at home. All you need is some water, some oats for the basic recipe. I'm gonna sweeten it up with some agave nectar, throw a splash of vanilla in there, a little sprinkle of sea salt, and donezo. Sometimes when you make homemade oat milk, it can be kind of slimy compared to store-bought ones. Right off the bat, I have 5 tips that I wanna share with you. I'm gonna go through these tips as we go through the recipe, but I don't wanna hold back because if nothing else, these tips will save you from a slimy oat milk. Tip number 1, do not use warm water. You want chilled, cold, iced water, no ice cubes, but like very cold water. Think hot water and oats. It makes oatmeal. We don't want that. We want cold water so that we can avoid any sliminess. Tip number 2, do not pre-soak your oats. I know with almond milk and other milks, there's a lot of pre-soaking. There's some forethought. You need to soak overnight. You need to soak for a couple hours. With oat milk, do not soak. The more you soak, the more slimy and gross it gets. You do not need to soak. Do not soak your oats. Tip number 3, don't overblend. If you keep it going, it's gonna get really slimy and not the best. You just wanna blend it for like 45 seconds, no more than a minute. I find 45 seconds to be the sweet spot. So 45 seconds, don't overblend. Tip number 3. Tip number 4, we are going to let the oat milk drip and drain naturally out of the nut milk bag. Sometimes with almond milks and other nut milks, there's a lot of squeezing that happens. You wanna get every last drip of liquid out. With oat milk, sometimes when you squeeze, the pulp goes through the mesh. It creates a slimy oat milk, so we aren't gonna squeeze. We're gonna let it naturally drip, apply some firm pressure, but there will be no squeezing, no twisting. We're just gonna let things naturally develop. Finally, the last tip, tip number 5, we are gonna double strain. Listen, it's optional if you want to just strain once, if you don't wanna be bothered with a double strain, but double straining ensures a smooth and creamy and delicious and less pulpy oat milk. So I'm gonna show you my process of double straining. It's the same as single straining, but just doing it again. So that's my last tip, double strain if you want. So let's go over those together. 1, cold water. 2, don't soak your oats. 3, only blend for about 45 seconds, definitely under a minute. 4, don't squeeze. And finally 5 is to double strain. So now that I have told you my 5 tips, let's make us some oat milk. All right, so it's as simple as just adding everything to your blender. I have 3 cups. I have 3 cups of cold water. I am also adding in 1 cup of rolled oats. You want old-fashioned, gluten-free rolled oats. Steel-cut oats or quick oats are not a good option for oat milk. You want just the old-fashioned rolled oats, and if they're gluten-free, even better. I'm just gonna add in my 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a half a teaspoon of salt, and lastly, 2 tablespoons of agave nectar. So I'm using agave nectar. You could also use honey or maple syrup. Also, if you just wanna pit a couple dates and throw them in your blender, that totally works too. All of our ingredients are in our blender. Now it is time to blend it on up. All right, so I'm gonna use 2 nut milk bags. You can just use 1 nut milk bag and rinse it out in between. You could also use a clean, thin dish towel. So whatever you have on hand, just use that. I'm just gonna pour it through this nut milk bag. And what I'm gonna do is just pick it up, apply some light pressure, but what did I say before? No squeezing, there's no squeezing here. We're not gonna squeeze, light pressure, and just let it naturally kind of drip out and strain itself. So there's gonna be like an oaty sludge. We're gonna discard it. Then we're gonna go for our second strain. So I'm just gonna strain it into a bowl and pour it right through. See how it goes right through. There's really not much pulp left, but if you want a super creamy, non-slimy oat milk, just go for that second strain. Okay, so I'm gonna try my best to pour it into this mason jar. Nice. And what you want to do is just keep it in an airtight container in your fridge. I like using mason jars, weck jars also work. Airtight container in your fridge for about 5 days to a week tops. While you're storing your oat milk in your fridge, if some separation occurs, that's totally normal. Just give it a little shake, simple shake like that before you pour a glass or use it in your next recipe. If you're gonna drink it, I personally prefer it cold in iced lattes or just as is. I'm gonna make an iced latte, do a little cheers, and I'll see you in a minute. Cheers. Let's try that again. Cheers. It's silky smooth, it is not slimy, it is oaty and delicious. I also have a recipe for chocolate oat milk on my site. I will link to both recipes down below in the description box. If you make yourself some oat milk, you have to let me know what you think. And that is it for me today. I am Lindsay from thetostedpienut.com. Come hang out with me on Instagram at thetostedpienut, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.